welcome to episode 18 of Eye on Horror. I'm your host, James J. Edwards, and with me, as always, is your other host, Jacob Davidson. How you doing, Jacob?
Always happy to be here.
Always happy to be here. We're all always happy to be here. This is such a happy place we've got going on here.
Happy, happy, happy.
And also with us, as always, is your other host, John Correa. How you doing?
Very well. Very tired. Pulled an 80-hour week in 5 days, so you know.
Ooh.
all that. The fun and beauty of television production is it's interesting.
When we last left you, we all hadn't seen very much because there wasn't much coming out. Has any of that changed? Glass came out. Either of you guys see Glass?
No, I haven't had the chance.
I'm kind of okay with not seeing it yet. I did just get AMC A-List, so I'm a little tempted to go see it in IMAX just because I want to use it to see a movie in IMAX, but I kind of also don't want to see that movie now.
I did see it. I actually...
Yeah.
I saw it twice.
Wow.
Ooh.
Because... Not because it's good. I'll get into it.
Okay.
You don't need to IMAX this one. Let me just tell you that.
Okay.
It's one of those roller coaster movies where and not like a roller coaster of emotions. It's like the first probably 20 minutes is like, oh, this is awesome. This is the best movie ever. And then it just coasts for a long time and it introduces these subplots that kind of go somewhere but don't. And then it goes to that. It basically goes up and down between, best movie ever and why did they make this? It's one of those deals. It's more of a sequel to Unbreakable than Split, which you can kind of see that. He leans harder into that because now, like we were talking about last time, now everybody knows it's in that universe, so he can lean harder into the Bruce Willis Unbreakable kind of deal. But, I mean, it's okay. The one thing that I did get out of it the second time I saw it, and this is kind of what I wanted to get out of it, it is very much a comic book movie. It is, I mean, you look at the framing, you look at the dialogue, you look at the ideas, how when you first watch it, you're like, okay, this dialogue is stupidly on the nose, but then you're like, but wait, they do that in comic books. When the villain explains his plot, it's always in a thought bubble above his head. So it kind of does. It embraces its comic book-cality, I guess, is how you'd say that. But it's cool. I mean, I'm a Shama fan, Shyamalana fan. I guess I don't know how you'd say, but I, with the exception of The Last Airbender, I've enjoyed all of his movies. Yes, even The Happening. But
okay, first of all, I am a Happening defender because that was a nice throwback. Well, it's not nice. It's not a good movie, but it was very reminiscent of like 1950s B movies that were trying too hard to be good, but just couldn't be.
Yeah, but I don't think other people realized that it was. I mean, when you watch it, we've seen Marky Mark and Zooey Deschanel be good in other things, so you know that they were being directed to basically be bad B-movie actors. Yeah. And I don't think a lot of people got that. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm a defender of The Happening too.
Also, it's got the best line ever, which is just Mark Wahlberg flipping out in the middle of a field going, "Come on, be scientific, douchebag."
And it's been a while since I've seen that, but doesn't he yell at a tree at some point, or he talks to a tree?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that, and it's great. And I think Mark Wahlberg had said in public that like why he took that part was because he's like, because no one would ever cast me as a scientist or a teacher, so this is my opportunity. And
awesome.
After being in Wahlburgers the other day, I can see why.
Wait, where did you find a Wahlburgers?
There's a Wahlburgers in West Hollywood.
No
apparently.
way.
Yeah, I had to get some food for some talent. It was interesting.
Have you guys seen anything else?
I saw The House with a Clock on Its Walls.
Okay.
Quentin Tarantino's theater, the New Beverly Cinema, actually did a screening with the only film print of the movie in existence.
Cool.
And Eli Roth and Tarantino were there to actually watch the movie. And I was sad I missed it in theaters, but it was really cool to see it on film. And you see, I grew up on those John Bellairs books when I was a kid. It was like all these kind of gothic young adult horror books from the 70s and 80s and so on. And it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It's definitely something both kids and adults can enjoy. There was some genuinely creepy moments in it. Jack Black and Kate Blanchett were really good.
It has one of the creepiest, one of the most disturbing images of all of last year, and I'm not going to spoil it, but it has to do with Jack Black at the end.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about, and
I
it will
know you
haunt
do
my
because you've
nightmares.
seen it. It's nightmare fuel.
It is genuine nightmare fuel. And there was also another surprising actor who appeared, who I didn't know was in the movie. I'm not sure if it's a spoiler to say.
Who?
Kyle MacLachlan. He's in the movie too.
Oh, nice. Did he have some damn good pie?
Kind of, sort of. Although he was kind of in Twin Peaks mode, so that was cool.
When is he not in Twin Peaks mode? Like, you see him in
Twin
other
Peaks
things, and like it kind of like when he's in other Lynch things, he's not in that mode. Like other Lynch projects, like Dune and all that. But like when you see him in stuff that isn't Lynch. He's very much so still in Twin Peaks mode, which I love.
Well, he never left Twin Peaks.
No, he really didn't.
I always forget that Dune is a David Lynch movie. It's so abnormally Lynch, which is weird because The Elephant Man is also a David Lynch movie, and that one is abnormal David Lynch, but it still seems like a David Lynch movie. But for some reason, Dune, I always forget it's a David Lynch movie.
Yeah. I always find it funny when people are like, Elephant Man is not a Lynch film because it doesn't get weird. I'm like, the movie opens up with a pregnant woman getting trampled by an elephant to say, like, maybe this is how, or like, and they're not saying like this is how he got that way, but like it opens up with that. Like, how is that not like one of the most Lynch things you've ever seen? Like,
it's Lynch along the lines of Eraserhead and not, Mulholland Drive. It's early Lynch.
Yeah.
So it's
definitely more reined in,
I totally buy that. I honestly think, and it almost worked, if it weren't for these meddling kids, I think that was his, he wanted to win awards.
Oh, yeah. And
did he get nominated?
It did get nominated. I don't know did it win any Oscars? I know it got nominated, though.
It should have at least for acting. I mean, because the performance
John Hurt, yeah.
Even Anthony Hopkins was phenomenal, too. Like, the two of them were such a dynamic duo in that. And Mel Brooks produced it, too.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
Mel
wasn't that around the same time he
produced The Fly?
Yeah.
Wow.
His name, you don't see his names until like the end credits because he was trying to like not be like, guys, this isn't Blazing Saddles 2, He was trying to allow like people to go in and take it seriously as a drama, but yeah, he produced a lot of genre films.
It was nominated for 8 Oscars, didn't win any of them. It was nominated for Best Picture, nominated for Best Actor in a Leading Role, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Art Direction, Best Costume Design, Best Editing, and Best Original Score. So Anthony Hopkins snubbed, but John Hurt did get a nom.
Well, Hopkins got that award when he did Silence of the Lambs, so I mean, it works out in the end, I guess.
I guess it evened out. And aside from that, not really horror, but I saw the new Dragon Ball movie in theaters, Broly, and it was really good. Like, I know it's not exactly in genre, but it does have some giant monsters and some crazy animated fights, so I had a lot of fun.
And I hear that actually made like a lot of money. Like they pulled off like a limited screen engagement with it, and it's actually like doing really well box office wise.
Per screen it is. Actually per screen I think it actually beat Glass.
Yeah, it
this
actually
weekend. But I mean Glass was obviously released in way more screens. Mm-hmm. But for what it was, I think it was the big winner this last weekend.
And it got an IMAX release. I saw that in IMAX. It was awesome.
Wow.
Damn, like 11-year-old me would have like creamed himself to be able to see Dragon Ball Z in IMAX.
Yeah, and actually it was a fairly well-written movie because I know Dragon Ball Z isn't exactly art, but it had a pretty good story, and it just went beyond just fights and stuff. It was pretty well plotted, but again the big draw was the fights which were incredibly animated. Like seeing like cosmic battles like that in IMAX was something else.
That's awesome. Well, I've been a little busy with watching. I saw a few movies on my days off. I was catching up. I went and saw. I watched both of the Fire documentaries that Hulu and Netflix came out.
I watch
know those aren't
too.
necessary horror, but they are extremely like good, and like I think James, you said they complement each other really well.
It was horror to the people who got scammed into it. I mean, if you see the way that played out, oh my god,
it's such an insane story. I don't want to spoil anything. Definitely, even if you don't know anything about the Fire Festival and what happened, go watch the Hulu one first. I think is the one you got to watch first, because it focuses more on the guy behind it, Billy. They even interview him, and then the Netflix one focuses more on the people around him, whether it's like the people who are working at his company who got sucked into it, or like the workers or the attendees. And like, yeah, they do a really good job of complimenting each other, but I like the Hulu one a bit more.
I think I like the Netflix one a little more because it's slicker. Plus, the Hulu one made me want to punch that guy in the face so hard because he's so smug, and then he won't answer some of their questions. And I know why, because I'm not answering about ongoing investigate. I mean,
but how he
why,
says it.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just like, I can't make comments about any criminal proceedings. So are there criminal proceedings? I can't make any comments about proceedings. And it's just like the same, like, you can see him like kind of start getting like nervous and fuck that guy.
And then doesn't he take a break after that too? He's like, I need 5, and he gets
yeah. What do you need to take a break for? I just need to take a break. Where are you going? What are you gonna do? And they're just like questioning him. But I did see another movie about a real life villain, Vice. The Dick Cheney movie.
Yeah.
Which we can relate to horror because Christian Bale did thank Satan for inspiration for his role. And that was phenomenal. Like that movie put me, when I left the theater, I was on such edge. I was ready to fight with people, and the projector in the screening I went to, the bulb was clearly going out. So I was trying to call the AMC theater afterwards to let them know. They wouldn't answer. And I was like leaving them very angry messages, just being like, answer your fucking phone. Your bulb is going out, you fuckers. But that's the life of a ex-projectionist. You get really pissed off about presentations. Like, even if it doesn't bother most people, why isn't this screen at proper aspect ratio, you fucker?
In my screening of Glass, the second one I went to yesterday, right at a certain point in the movie, like real early on, like right after the opening credits, it just went to black. And everybody, and I had seen it before, so I knew that wasn't supposed to happen, but everybody was thinking that's how clean it was. It went to black. People were thinking, oh, this is an edit. But then, you sit there for about 20 seconds and people start, finally someone goes out and lets them know, and they come back in, and then they start it from the last trailer. So you get it was at a Regal theater, so you get the last trailer, and then you get that they show like a little short movie that some film students do, and then they show the beginning of the movie again. Well, when the movie starts again, it has captions, which, again, I was fine with because I had already seen it before. I knew it was coming up. It was kind of interesting because it labeled James McAvoy's voices, his personalities. It labeled it. So I thought that he went through maybe 10 in it. That's the thing. I haven't gotten to gush about James McAvoy in Glass. I thought he went through 10 personalities, but then when I see their names there, he probably went through about 18 or 19. He goes to 10. And it's seamless, too, because he'll be talking, because they find a way, and this isn't spoiling too much, they find a way to keep him in control they flash a light at him, and that will get him to bring another personality to the light.
Yeah, they show that in the trailer, so it's not that much of a spoiler.
So he's going through, and all these one of them is a film teacher who specializes in Spanish film or maybe German. It's something from the 50s to the 80s, and he talks, and then
I had that professor.
One, he flashes and he starts speaking fluent Spanish, and you're like, dude, McAvoy. He did it. And there's another one where he's roller skating, and you're like, dude, this guy's, it's like they're, okay, what can you do, and how can we write this into a personality?
I think it sounds more like, hey, James McAvoy, what can't you do? We're going to write that to try to make you do it. Can you speak Spanish? Nope. We're going to make you speak fluent Spanish, fucker. Or
at least for these 5 or 6 lines, because that personality only comes up once. But he's like, for these 5 or 6 lines, learn how to speak these fluently, or they're like, and it's actually Hedwig, the 9-year-old that roller skates. So they're like, oh, you don't have to really be good at roller skating.
He's got the wheelies.
Yeah. No, they're actual skates. But anyway, yeah. So, James McAvoy, awesome in Glass, as he was in Split. Only more so.
I will say this though, I don't know if do you guys ever go back to give a movie that you've like hated a second chance and been pleasantly surprised?
I have.
Of recent. I did that with Alien versus Predator recently. I got it for cheap digitally, and I was like, you know what? I'll give them both a shot. I loathe the second one. I spent my Christmas day in theater watching it because I was so excited to see the Predator world and all that. But like, I rewatched the first Alien vs. Predator. I was pleasantly surprised like how much fun I had with it. Like, it's not a great film, it's not a perfect film, but I thought it was a lot of fun and introduced some cool like history that's non-canon now. But I had fun. Lance Henriksen was always great. You know,
I did that on New Year's Eve with Strangers Prey at Night. I remember not liking it very much, but I gave it another shot, and I'm like, this isn't all that bad. I mean, it's the pool scene is easily the best scene in it. But I think I was telling you guys that there was one scare that was in the trailer that didn't get me, but then I forgot about it, and it totally got me.
Yeah, the pipe.
Yeah, the pipe. But because that was in the trailer, I knew it was coming, but then I flushed the whole movie out of my memory, so it got me, and it was fun. I love when that happens. That's fun. That's fun times. All right, anybody see anything else or?
I got something I want to add.
Okay.
Okay, so the new Resident Evil 2 remake is coming out this week, and they released a special demo for it last week called One Shot, where basically they released a demo, but the trick is you only had 30 minutes to play it, and after that, you can't play the demo ever again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really? That's it.
It has like a doomsday device in it?
Yeah, it self-destructs your video game console after 30 minutes.
Well, shit.
Not only can you not play this game, you can't play any game.
Maybe we'll have to do a live stream or something of it.
Twitch it.
I've never played Resident Evil 2, so if anyone wants to watch me fail at that for a half hour.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's very different from the original Resident Evil 2. Like, they even said it's not so much a remake as a reimagining. And, dude, it is scary as hell. Like, I was going through the police station, even though I had, like, 30 minutes, I was kind of tiptoeing, because, like, I'd see something run across the windows, like, oh, shit, and just tiptoeing my way because I knew someone was going to jump at me, and then something did jump at me.
You knew it was coming, you just didn't know when.
And they really did a good job bringing back zombies, because like in this version, it's like, in the original it's kind of like the tank controls where you can only aim up, forward, or down, and this time it's like the over the shoulder thing where you can aim anywhere, but even if you can shoot a zombie in the head, one shot to the head isn't going to put them down. You got to shoot them multiple times in the head to permanently kill them.
Wow.
Yeah, and there are other mutants and monsters kind of lurking, and the graphics really add to it. So, oh my god, like I pre-ordered it immediately after playing the demo because I need more of that shit.
More than 30 minutes of it?
Yep, more 30 minutes to be in a police station surrounded by zombies and mutants and monsters and stuff.
Speaking of playing and watching people fail, I went through Bandersnatch.
Oh, how'd that go?
And it went probably similarly to yours. I was trying to pick. I wasn't doing what I would actually do. I was trying to pick what would give me the most interesting footage. Like when it says smash computer or pour tea on computer. Of course, I picked smash computer because that's going to be funner to watch.
Yeah.
But then it says it basically every time you quote die, it'll send you back to where you could have made a significant. I liked that. It basically gives you a chance to look at every choice because it'll send you back to where you could have made, and that's when it's a significant. Yeah, it just slightly changes, but it gives you a chance to. It basically lets you know where you made a significant fuck up, and it lets you correct it. So it was cool, and it was short for me. I burned through until I was tired of it. It was maybe an hour and 15. It wasn't an hour and a half. So I don't think I saw anywhere near to all the footage because I've heard there's like 5 hours of footage. But at that point, the credits were rolling, and the credits, go and it says, go back, and I'm like, nah, I'm good for now. Maybe I'll come back and, pick Frosted Flakes and see where that takes me. Because it never took me back to that decision. I went Sugar Pops, and it never took me back to that one. So,
and I still say, if you like Bandersnatch and you have a PlayStation 4, get Until Dawn, because that is the perfect horror choose your own adventure. Like, I can't. My girlfriend and I have been playing it. Like, we'll do a chapter at night or something, and she's still angry at me for killing an animal in the beginning because it's little ripple effects. And it's like, do you shoot the bird? I'm like, I'm gonna shoot the fucking bird. And she's like, oh my god. She's watched like a lot of walkthroughs, and she's like, no one ever shoots the bird. And as soon as I it was like a squirrel, and I shot the squirrel. And as soon as I did, this crow comes out of nowhere and attacks one of my people, and it goes, Nate. Mother Nature is now against you. And I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, I'm going to try to not kill things now.
Damn.
Yeah, I've already lost one person in that game.
I remember the first time I was showing, she was my girlfriend at the time, but it's my wife now. I was showing her Grand Theft Auto, and I was showing her how to punch and kick and stuff. She goes, and I can just punch and kick anybody? I'm all, sure. And she goes up to a guy in a suit, and I'm like, oh, but not him. And she punches him, and he pulls out a gun. It's because the guys in suits are the mob guys.
Yeah.
I'm all, not him. He pulls out a gun and blows her away.
Oh gosh.
My favorite GTA story is I was on a religious pilgrimage up in St. Anne de Beaupré in Canada, helping like the elderly and disabled, and we had Grand Theft Auto. We were playing the PlayStation 2 in the community room in the hotel, and like all of a sudden everyone's grandparents came down and were watching us play. So we're trying to be nice, like be law-abiding citizens and drive nice, and all of a sudden I ran over a prostitute, and they're like, oh my god, you ran over that woman. And my grandma's like, are you gonna make sure she's okay? I'm like, no guys, it's fine, she's a prostitute, they're still a person. And it like turned into this whole thing, and we weren't allowed to play that game anymore during the day.
Are you gonna stop and make sure she's okay?
They legitimately asked me that.
Awesome. All right, let's move on. What do we got for our subgenre of the episode?
Well, because I was so inspired by looking at the Super Blood Wolf Moon last night.
Fuck yeah, man.
Oh my god, yeah, that was something, the lunar eclipse and all that, but I figured now would be as good a time as any to talk about werewolves and werewolf movies.
Yeah, and werewolf bar mitzvahs.
Spooky, scary.
Boys becoming men, men becoming wolves.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's a big subgenre to choose from just because there's so many movies about werewolves, or movies that feature werewolves, movies that feature werewolves getting kicked in the nards.
Yeah. That's a wolf man.
Wolfman. Okay? Close enough.
Actually, yeah. Let's set this straight. There's a difference between werewolves and wolfmen, okay? Like, come on, people.
What's the difference?
Because werewolves are more like, they become more wolf-like, whereas wolfmans are more man-like with wolf features, It's not that big of a difference, actually.
I'm going to steal the best example, my favorite, and only because a naked American stole the kids' balloons. An American Werewolf in London. When I go werewolves, I go American Werewolf in London.
Well, you can't. That movie's so great. It even has werewolf Nazis for a moment. Like,
yeah, I still am trying to wrap my head around what the deal with that was.
Actually, those were Wolfman Nazis, but I'm getting back on my soapbox there.
Well, they were in his nightmares. But that one, I mean, the legendary transformation scene, Jenny Agutter, which is, I fell in love with her when she was in Logan's Run, but, so I'm OG Jenny A fan, but...
she was great in that, too. Logan's Run is awesome.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, American Werewolf in London, for me, is the gold standard of werewolf movies. What about you guys?
Okay, well, the first one that comes to mind to me is Silver Bullet with the great Gary Busey and Corey Haim, right?
I believe that was Haim, yeah.
Yeah.
Corey Haim.
Yeah, oh man, that movie is so underrated when it comes to both Stephen King and werewolf canon. Yeah, like the wolf effects are really good, and it is so gory. Like that scene where like the werewolf pulls that guy into like the greenhouse and impales him and rips his leg off, and the opening, like 1 minute in, decapitation. So it's it goes hard and never stops. And yeah, and it has that great Stephen King, small town vibe, and like and also Terry O'Quinn makes a great sheriff in that one, as he always does.
Yeah, and for me, because James already stole my favorite. I'm gonna have to go with my other favorite.
Well, you took my scary stories to tell in the dark last week. Hey, I actually got I don't, somehow, I told you guys about my Suspiria Mondo print. I got on some mailing list somewhere, which I love being on it, but it's like a critics mailing list. They sent me a copy of the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark books with like a little thing saying, it said, from CBS Films, and it's like, while you wait for the movie, enjoy the books. And I'm like, I don't know how no one in either of my other two critics groups, have gotten this stuff, so I'm like, okay, I don't know how I got on this list, but keep it coming. If you're listening, keep sending me cool stuff like that, because I love it.
Can you get me on that list? Like, fuck, man, my editions are worn out real bad.
I don't know how I got on it. Yeah, I have the same old editions from the book fair, but it was just cool to like. I'm like, all right, this is cool. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no, you're good, man. That was awesome. Interrupt away. But yeah, no, my other favorite wolf movie, like the one that definitely comes to mind, is The Howling, because that one had such an effect on me as a kid, because I was all like, I think I saw both movies on the same weekend. I was on a werewolf kick, and just like, man, the effects in that, the transformation was really good in American Werewolf in London, but the werewolf designs and like how they moved and everything in The Howling were phenomenal. And I will also admit, as a 13-year-old watching that movie, it awakened something. It was a sexy movie, let's be honest. That was like weird, but
not as sexy as the sequels.
Oh man, first of all, Howling 3, the marsupials, that is definitely up there in one of my favorite werewolves were marsupials, right? Were marsupials,
were Tasmanian wolves.
Well, they were marsupials, so
right.
But man, dude, I love that. That's one of my favorite Ozploitation films too, and I can't wait for that Blu-ray to get to like under $20 from Scream Factory, because I'm gonna buy the shit out of it.
I'm gonna probably wait till that goes on sale. Although it's also on Amazon Prime Video.
That is true. Oh no, I've watched it on Prime like 4 times since I've gotten Prime.
I've been meaning to watch that again, because like that's the thing. They used to play all those Howling sequels on like USA or Sci-Fi Channel, and like I'd catch bits and pieces of them. Man, those sequels were weird.
I've only ever seen the first and third. I've never seen what's the second one? Your Sister's a Werewolf?
Yeah, Howling 2, Your Sister's a Werewolf.
Yeah.
Great Christopher
And then there's
Lee.
like 3 more after the third one, at least. Well, yeah, because I think the fourth one's called The Freaks, but yeah, that's just but the original is absolutely phenomenal. Like, Joe Dante nailed it out of the park.
So, have you guys ever heard of a movie called Project Metal Beast?
No.
Okay. Oh, man. I caught this movie on the Sci-Fi Channel when I was a kid, and it changed my life forever. Okay, so it's about the CIA guys who kill and kidnap a werewolf body from Transylvania, and then one of the CIA guys gets infected with werewolfism, and he's cryogenically frozen, and then years later, this evil CIA guy, played by Barry Bostwick, commissions these scientists to make a cyborg werewolf. And so they make a cyborg werewolf, the werewolf gets out and starts killing everybody, and it's goddamn amazing. And Barry Bostwick plays an unapologetically evil dude who wants to make cyborg werewolves for the American military. I just love that shit, man.
You had me at Barry Bostwick.
Speaking of werewolf movies that changed our lives, this one, I don't know if you consider it a werewolf movie because he's an alien werewolf, but The Dark from 79. He's an alien werewolf who shoots lasers from his eyes, so there's a little gray area, but the first time I saw that, I was so he even wears clothes like a teenage werewolf, like Michael Hanna's teenage werewolf. He's like in jeans. I feel like he was in jeans and high tops when he was running around. But that was one of my formative ones. That was one of the first movies I can remember watching on like HBO or something, and then having to go sleep with my parents because it was so scary.
Now, this one wasn't life-changing or life-affirming or really anything. I just genuinely enjoyed it, but honestly, like Joe Johnson's The Wolfman, I watched that one recently, and yeah, it's just a straight up remake, but you know what? I had a lot of fun with it, and it had like a really great like classic gothic feel to it, and I really wish that like Universal had stuck to like kind of building their new dark universe off of that film rather than going more actiony with it, like just keeping it with like a gothic horror. Even if they like modernized it after that one with them, you know, I really wish they had kept it going, because there was a lot of like good in that movie that I think was not really fully realized after, but it didn't do well in the box office, I think.
When did that come out again?
Factor. 2010.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember seeing it in college. So.
Yeah. So Wolfman came out in 2010, and like it had some really like, just having Anthony Hopkins growl was worth the price of admission. And then on top of that, you had him transform, spoilers, to an almost decade-old film that was a remake of almost 100-year-old film. But you had Anthony Hopkins like go full Wolfman mode versus Benicio del Toro at the end, to a really bloody and really awesome like fight sequence that was a lot of, again, I can't stress how much fun I had with that film.
We could go on for an entire episode on Wolfman movies. Like you say, it's...
One more honorable mention.
Oh, you want to do another one? Okay.
Just do one more real quick, because I feel like I gotta say it. Dog Soldiers.
Dog Soldiers. We talked about Dog Soldiers with action horror.
Yeah, but I do feel obligated to mention it. You're welcome, Neil Marshall.
It is a Wolfman movie, or a Wolfman / werewolf, whichever we're going to call it. But we could go on for days on these because it's such a big genre and such a favorite genre. But let's move on to our topic, which, in honor of the release of Glass, the third in Shyamalan's superhero trilogy, I guess, we're going to talk about part 3s.
Yeah.
And I'm going to open it up with probably my favorite part 3, and this might be controversial, because there are probably better ones out there. But for me, the Paranormal Activity franchise hit its peak at part 3. When they go into the past, it's we talked about this on the prequel episode too, but I just think that one embraced the found footage aspect of it, and also they had that maddeningly suspenseful fan cam that would just go back and forth.
That was so well choreographed, just all around. And
it led to one of the coolest moments, like with, you know, I won't say exactly what happens, but involving, you know, a sheet ghost and a babysitter. Which, if you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because it's one of those. It's not scary. It's one of those, oh, that was cool, you know, things. So, what about you guys? Your part 3s?
Okay, diving right in. Gotta say, I am a huge fan of Army of Darkness, the third Evil Dead movie, just because it goes so far left turn compared to the Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, because you go from The Evil Dead, which is the quintessential Cabin in the Woods movie, to Evil Dead 2, which just amps up everything more, to Army of Darkness, which is an kind of sword and sorcery action comedy horror hybrid. Like it just completely went outside its genre with that one, because Ash is now like the savior of a medieval kingdom.
But I would even argue that Evil Dead 2 was a good transition between the two, because the first one was such straight up horror, and the second one had a lot of that, but it also had like a lot of bits that were heavily inspired by the Three Stooges, like the eyeball flying through the air going into her mouth, the blood.
And just Ash bashing himself over the head with like 20 plates.
Well, I think the first Evil Dead was kind of unintentionally comical because of the budget. But when they got to make Evil Dead 2, I think Raimi was like, okay, let's lean into this funniness. You know, let's really go for that. And by the time you got to Army of Darkness, I mean, there are flat out gags in Army of Darkness.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, extremely so. Or like him getting beaten up by those little tiny clones of himself.
Yeah. Or him just in the graveyard running and like with the skeleton hands coming up and poking him in the eyes. Yeah. That was classic Three Stooges. Like Raimi was heavily influenced by them early in his career, which is phenomenal.
Fake Shemps.
Yeah, fake Shemps.
They got the fake Shemps going down.
I honestly, for my third, I know there's so many good 3s out there, but mine has to go out to Omen 3. And I know we talked about it in a previous episode, but just like Omen 1 is a masterpiece, and Omen 2 is really good and really fun, but Omen 3 is so ridiculous, and I should not like that film at all. And it isn't good, except Sam Neill just kills it. All of his monologues are just phenomenal. And I know I gush about it all the time. And I really do hope we get to make our sequel to Omen 3. Omen 3 Part 2. I think we should do. Watiki, if you're listening, please make Omen 3 Part 2.
Ours isn't so much a sequel to that. It's like a parallel universe. It's like Omen 3.5.
Yeah, exactly. But it's so great, especially since like the entire movie is building up this hype that the Nazarene is coming back. There's going to be a great showdown between Jesus and the Antichrist. And then he just gets stabbed by somebody else. Like, the Nazarene shows up for like 2 seconds, and then they show some like biblical quotes, and it's done. And it's like, wait, what the fuck just happened? That was such a huge letdown for me as a kid. But it's, again, well worth it for him screaming and cursing, "I'll get you, Nazarene," you know?
Next time, Gadget.
And your little dog, too. It's funny that, like, when we all go through our favorite threes, none of us mentioned the biggies, which are Halloween 3 or A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, which...
Yeah, we were going to get to those.
Those two are the ones that are kind of considered today to be, well, maybe not in Halloween's case, but a lot of people consider Nightmare on Elm Street 3 to be the best in the franchise.
Yeah, Dream Warriors,
Warriors, yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely has the best theme song, because, you know, Dawkins can totally kick the crap out of the Fat Boys any day.
Hey. They will come back, all right? Because you know they're better than whack.
I think one of them's dead, though, isn't it? Didn't one of the Fat Boys die?
Oh.
Why'd you have to bring that up?
Okay, that's kind of a downer.
You guys know I'm a huge Fat Boys fan. Like, why'd you have to bring that up?
All of Dawkins are still alive, as far as I know. I don't know, though. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Anyway, and of course, I would be remiss to not mention Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D.
3D.
Well, back when that one was made, there was like a big trend of Part 3s being in 3D, because you also had Amityville 3D and...
For some reason. Like
Jaws 3D.
Yes.
Okay, let's be honest. Like Friday the 13th and Jaws, okay, I get why you would be like, yeah, that would be cool to see like Jason stab someone in 3D. But that'd be cool to have a shark come at you in 3D, even though that movie made me regret saying that would be cool to see a shark coming at you in 3D.
Yep.
Because it was a piece of construction paper cut out like a shark.
Yeah, just it kind of floats toward you.
Slow as fuck. Okay. Honestly, I really like Jaws 3D, but the whole them trying to do 3D thing killed that movie dramatically. Like, that could have been a fun sequel, and just everything that, like, the basis of a lot of things that went wrong with that was the fact that they went for 3D. But going back to my original point, but Amityville, that was such a weird choice to put into 3D. I think. Almost as weird as, well, not as weird, but like one of the paranormal like the last Paranormal Activity was 3D, which again, the idea of seeing found footage in 3D already makes me nauseous.
But honestly, they pull it off. If you see it, you'll know, because it's like they find a special camera and it's only the spirit stuff that's in 3D. They pull it off in that one, but we're not talking about that right now.
Yeah, though, back at it. John, you were at the what was it, the Meg screening where they also screened Jaws 3 in 3D, right?
No, I had to miss out on that one.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, I was there, though. And, yeah, because, the Egyptian Theater in Hollywood was doing a 3D series last summer, so they were screening, like, all those movies in 3D. I did see, Jaws 3D and Friday 13 in 3D, and actually still hold up. You know, it's kind of cool seeing, you know, just all the stuff coming at you and, like, all the 3D effects, you know, in full 3D effects rather than 2D. And
when you see those movies not in 3D, like you just watch them on like USA, or, you know, you buy the Vudu version of or something, they're not in 3D, but you can tell the parts, like the harpoon coming at you, or you can tell the parts that you're like, oh, that would have been awesome in 3D.
Eyeballs popping, sharks coming at you.
That was at the type of 3D filmmaking that they were doing with those films. It wasn't for depth or atmosphere. It was that gimmicky, like, all right, we're gonna shove this harpoon in your face, we're gonna shove this, you know, thing in your face. And I always find those to be entertaining to watch not in 3D, because again, like you said, you can see that and you're like, oh, this is the 3D bit. Or like when Freddy's dead, when the like worm spirit things come out, it's like, oh yeah, this would have been cool in 3D. Talk about least subtle way to tell you to put on your 3D glasses. Freddy's dead. It's like, oh, we're going to put on these to see the spirit world.
Okay, but it did give us the exploding 3D Freddy's head.
Yeah, that was worth it.
Yeah, but back on part 3s. See, I actually just saw Critters 3 for the first time recently, too, which is notorious for the film debut of one Leonardo DiCaprio.
I'm sure he's real proud of that on his filmography.
Nope, I don't think he is. Even though he got all those, there's all those pictures of him as a kid posing with, like, the Critters puppets. But, yeah, I was watching some of the behind-the-scenes documentary stuff.
If you bring him an 8x10 of him posing with a Critters puppet, do you think he'll sign it, or will he, like, just tell you to fuck off?
I think he'd punch me in the face.
No matter what.
Yeah, it's like, who are you, and why are you talking to me? He's too big for us, wee little men. But... yeah, no, Critters 3, though, was actually pretty fun. I mean, that's the thing, though. Like, after 2, like, they shot 3 and 4 back-to-back with considerably less of a budget than the first 2 Critters movies. But, it still had its moments. It was a pretty simple concept, critters inside of a Los Angeles apartment building. And Critters got to have some fun in this one, like, it definitely drew a bit more on Gremlins because, like, there's some scenes of the critters having antics in the apartment building, and oh god, like they even like there's even a bit where like a critter eats an entire tub of chili and farts. Because how can you not?
I can relate to that critter. I do that a lot. I do eat a lot of chili and I do fart. Actually, James has to edit out so many of my farts for these podcasts. We really need to give him more credit for that.
One of these days we'll do a director's cut and I'll just leave it all in.
And
all farts all the time.
All you'll just hear is traffic going by my apartment and me farting and vaping the entire time.
And burping.
I can't forget the burps. So many
and
bodily
coughing.
noises.
Yeah.
All 3 of us coughing.
Now, my question is, when it comes to... because we've listed some really good ones, and we've listed some... in previous episodes and earlier, we listed some ones that go batshit bonkers, whether it's the Marsupials with Howling or Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College, what are your favorite type of 3s? Like the kind that kind of close it out as like a perfect or like as a well-made trilogy, like Army of Darkness with that transition from horror to comedy, or the kind where it's just like you can tell they had no idea where the fuck they were going with it and just went for it, like the Marsupials or Ghoulies 3.
Personally, I like when 3s escalate things. The first 2 built up things so much they decide to go completely all out. Like, I was actually just thinking about Hatchet 3, which also delved a bit more into action than horror, but like they really amp things up because it's like Victor Crowley versus a SWAT team, and there's a lot of gunfire and explosions and stuff.
My favorite part of Hatchet 3 is when Kane Hodder gets to kill Derek Mears.
Oh yeah,
because it's like classic Jason killing new Jason.
Oh yeah, that was there were so many fun casting gags with that. And I think there was a bit where like they try to kill him with a rocket launcher, but they're pointing the wrong way. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's so amped up in part 3. It's great. Also in terms of 3s, like this is more of a technical count, but since we're talking part 3s, I have to mention this Dude Bro Party Massacre 3. Even though there technically isn't a part 1 or 2, but it captures the spirit of what makes a great part 3 in a horror movie, in that it goes completely off the rails and is totally ridiculous.
So are we going to talk about Thanksgiving 3 too, even though there wasn't a part 2?
Can we not talk about that series like ever?
You know what? I always I may have talked about this before, but I have mad respect for the guys who make those movies, because I met them at one of the Days of the Deads, and they were pushing Thanksgiving 3, and they had the puppets, and I was talking to him. He's all have you seen Thanksgiving? And I'm like, and I knew that they were pushing Thanksgiving 3, and I'm like, I've seen the first one, which I had, and I'm all I haven't seen the second, not knowing that there isn't a second. And they just kind of smile and say, oh well, the third one's coming, and they could have been such dicks being like, oh, there isn't a second one, you dumbass, but they were just totally cool and stuff, and they didn't call me out on not knowing that there wasn't a 2. I mean, if I had tried to be a know-it-all and been like, oh yeah, I love number 2, it's the best, they probably would have called me out if I was trying to front like that. But I just thought it was totally cool of them not to make me feel dumb for not knowing there wasn't a 2, because when you watch 3, 3 is the chase for number 2. They're trying to find the only copy of number 2, so that's why it's called 3. But anyway,
I was about to say, wasn't that the whole point of 3? Was that they even showed it, because I haven't watched the third one, but I did watch the trailer because I was curious. Like, I'd never heard of a 2, but and that's like the whole point, is that like the 2 was so bad that it was never released or something like that.
Yeah.
I just always thought it was cool of those guys to not make me feel stupid for not realizing that they were making a joke. You know,
I'll give them props for that. That's major prop. Just the basic idea. We're gonna skip 2 because we'll say like this: if we made a second one, it was so bad that now we're gonna make an entire film about finding it because of it. I think that's pretty genius.
Yeah. But back at it, that's what I love about Dude Bro Party Massacre 3, in that, there's that kind of in-humor that Dude Bro Party Massacre 3 was so controversial that in story, Ronald Reagan had it banned from the country, so this is the last existing copy. And they do show clips from 1 and 2, which... Yeah, because the 5-second films, the guys that made it really understand the escalation with these series, because they show like scenes from 1, it's kind of a typical slasher, and then things get a bit more ridiculous when they show clips from the second one, and then in the third one they have stuff that goes completely crazy. Like there's a whole subplot with these cops, and the Dude Bros have to stay at a old sorority house by the lake. And and there's some crazy kills involving like their worst fears, like that's the theme. So they get what happens when it comes to these horror movie trilogies, or escalating sequels. And it's basically the greatest third horror movie without actually having any movies before it.
There's something to be said for trilogies, or even more franchises, that just keep kind of regurgitating, because I know that people always say, oh, the one that comes to mind is Final Destination. That's the same damn, and they're talking, oh, they're rebooting Final Destination. Would anybody know if all they did was just call it Final Destination 6? I mean, it's the same movie the second one had a little bit of a twist, but it's the same movie 5 times, and that's what people want to see. That's what I want to see. So I think number 3 was the one with the roller coaster at the beginning, and and it was the one with the tanning beds, and I mean, and those are cool. And another thing, Saw, that's, with the exception of the first one, those are basically the same damn movie too. Yeah. And
the second one had Donnie Wahlberg. Shout out to Donnie Wahlberg.
But also when you get to, and this one is one of those ones that took a long time to get to the part 3, Blair Witch.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And Blair Witch is basically the Blair Witch Project. I mean, they basically, it's the same plot. People go into the woods, they get lost. Blair Witch 2, which I will defend to my dying day, is different.
Book of Shadows, you got to say it.
Book of Shadows. But Blair Witch, not the Blair Witch Project, the Blair Witch is basically just the same movie as the first one, but it does have, the last act is nail-biting. It's absolutely, if you haven't seen it, see it just for, fast forward through the first hour if you have to, and watch it from there, because you know what happened. I mean, the setup. But anyway, there's something to be said for that. If it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of mentality on things. You don't watch Final Destination for the plot. You watch it because you want to see kids getting killed in creative and, mysterious ways.
But that being said, you still have to make it good, because remember, the first 3 and the 5th one of the Final Destination films are really good, are really fun, and they're cheesy and they might not be the best things ever, but they're at least watchable. The 4th one is just bad.
I don't think their heart was in the 4th one. I think the 4th one they kind of phoned in. Yeah, you're right.
But they came back hard with the 5th one. Like, I can't believe how much I love Final Destination 5. It's honestly probably my favorite of the franchise.
Yeah. And that's actually why they're probably calling it a reboot and not a sequel, because the 5th one wraps it up perfectly. The 5th one, the way that it leaves it off, it's like, no, that's...
Yeah, without spoiling, it does kind of connect.
That's a quintology.
I still think they really do need to get John Waters to make Final Destination, because he has come out... He did a series at the Alamo Drafthouse in Yonkers, I believe, where it was like a series of films that he wished he had made, and one of them was Final Destination.
Yeah.
And remember Serial Mom? Like, he came up with some pretty creative kills in that one.
Yes, he did. Oh, fuck, I love Serial Mom. But that would be great just to have him, come out of, semi-retirement, and just make a Final Destination film.
Yeah, and the funny thing to me was, like, I had heard for a while that they had planned a Final Destination movie set in medieval times. So that could have been interesting.
Yeah, why not? Like, it doesn't need to take place in modern times. Like, have different timelines, like a medieval one, even just like one that takes place a couple decades ago. Could you imagine like an 80s Final Destination movie?
Oh, God.
I want Final Destination in space.
That'd be fun.
They're on the International Space Station. Or was that Life? Did we get that with Life?
Well, I mean, kind of
Not
Jason
really.
X.
Yeah, Jason. Leprechaun in space. But wait a minute. Now we're going somewhere else. Well, speaking of Leprechaun 3, where they go to Vegas.
Yeah. It has its
a fun
moments.
Dude, Hellraiser 3?
Oh, yeah, Hell on Earth.
The last good Hellraiser movie?
Yeah.
If that. I kind of think the second one's the
Yeah,
last good one,
I
but
kind of
okay.
I kind of draw the line at 2, although 4 has its moments, but yeah, 3 was when things again is the running theme. Movie franchises tend to really go off the rails starting at 3.
Well, we kind of glossed over Halloween 3.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Halloween
talk about
3
that.
is an absolute classic because it has nothing to do with the rest of them. I mean,
It dared to be different.
Yeah, although there is the theory that Michael Myers in the original one put on a silver shamrock prototype mask, and that's what made him kill his sister, but I mean, that's actually kind of a fun theory, but I don't know.
It's a whole other story.
Yeah, but I think it was kind of gutsy of them because it was actually real maligned for decades until it's only recently, probably with the Scream Factory release, that people started embracing Halloween 3.
I feel like it might have been a little bit before that because it played on TV a lot, like USA Network, I think, did it a lot, which kind of helped it get vindicated by fans. And yeah, like that's the amazing thing. It was the turning point of the franchise because if it had been a success, then we would have been looking at Halloween as a kind of anthology series where every movie would have been a different Halloween themed story,
which I would have been down for because I'm not a big fan of 4 through 6.
Yeah.
So,
but you love Resurrection, right? Trick or treat, motherfucker!
No, you beat me to it.
I do love that line. I do love that part. Like, I'm a sucker for putting rappers in acting roles that they just weren't ready for, or any musical talent, really.
Oh, like Redman and Seed of Chucky?
Okay, Redman was so ready for that. Like, he was great, and I can't bash Redman, especially after Wu-Tang and How High. Like, come on.
I don't remember Child's Play 3. What is Child's Play 3?
Oh, Child's Play 3. That's the one where he goes to the military academy.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Is that the one where he goes to military school? Okay.
Yeah, that one
was
actually...
fun, too.
Yeah, that one is pretty good. That does have its good moments. Like that ending where they're in the like haunted house, or like the carnival haunted house. Yeah, that had a pretty good finale.
I just love the part where they're doing like an exercise so they all have blanks and stuff, and Chucky just puts real rounds into it.
Yeah.
I just always thought that was funny.
Chucky's a mean motherfucker. I'm cussing a lot in this episode, aren't I? I usually don't.
Well, I mean, part 3's really laid down the F-bombs, I guess.
Yeah.
One thing we need to talk about before we get out of here, though, and I'm surprised it has not come up before now, The Exorcist 3.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Especially the director's cut.
It's an absolute classic. It has probably the greatest jump scare in cinematic history. If you haven't seen The Exorcist 3, watch it, and you'll know exactly the jump scare we're talking about, because there's no way you won't jump when it happens. There's no way you won't jump.
Yeah, no, and don't forget the underrated performance of Brad Dourif. Like he would, and also George C. Scott. Like them together in those scenes were amazing.
Did William Peter Blatty direct that one himself?
He did.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It was based off of his sequel to his book.
Yeah, though it's kind of funny because, it like in that case, it's a part 3 putting the franchise back on track because, after The Exorcist, there was The Exorcist 2, The Heretic, which was completely bonkers. And then he got
the
part 3,
prequels.
which is like, which, you know, despite everything, was kind of more taking a step back to the original.
Yeah, but then you got those prequels, which
Oh yeah,
both of them, because Rennie Harlan and Paul Schrader were the two directors, and
Yep.
they each of them made their own from this basically the same script and a lot of the same footage, and neither of them are really that great. I think I like Paul Schrader's a little more, but
Yeah.
it's a matter of opinion, depending on whether you like the character stuff or the horror stuff.
But Paul Schrader's cut gets the main thing that holds it back is the bad CGI, because it was clearly like they didn't really put a lot of effort into it, because they like basically abandoned that project for the beginning. Which is really I prefer Dominion to it, but that's also like, you know, kind of not comparing good apples to rotten apples.
wait,
you know?
I forget though. Who directed which? Like, which one did Paul Schrader direct?
Dominion is the Paul Schrader
Oh,
one,
okay.
and Exorcist: The Beginning is Rennie Harlan's, which that's the
Right.
one they brought in. That's the one they basically, that's the one they released. And when nobody liked it, they're like, okay, let's finish Paul Schrader's and see if that bails us out. And it didn't. I mean, I don't think any of them really did. I don't think either of them did well.
Yeah, because Dominion was just like a home video release. Is all it got, basically.
Right.
Yeah, they didn't release it into theaters. Like, well, they might have just real limited, but yeah, it wasn't.
I will say this about The Heretic. I did like how Scream Factory recently tweeted out a quote from William Friedkin saying that The Heretic was the worst movie he had ever seen, ever. And they're like, what? Yeah, and we put it out on Blu-ray. Go buy it from our shop. Like, I'll give them props for having balls to do that.
Speaking of, this is off topic, but supposedly Dario Argento hates the new Suspiria.
Oh yeah, I heard that too. I mean, a lot of these stories have been coming up, so I tend to take them with a grain of salt. But I don't know, like difference. It's a different movie. It's different,
Yeah.
all around.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Argento made his, so he's probably going to prefer it. And it is so vastly different, in tone, look, and, I mean, if Argento's anything like me, he probably hated the fact that it was an hour longer than it should have been. But,
And I got a couple more part 3s I want to mention before we start wrapping.
all right.
Rapid fire.
Ninja 3 The Domination, a rare action movie turning into kind of a horror movie scenario there.
It's a possession movie, right?
Yeah, because it's and not just a possession movie. A woman is possessed by the ghost of a ninja.
Yes.
So there's like Pilates ninja stuff going on.
Yeah,
It couldn't be any more 80s.
Pilates ninja. Are you sure it's not jazzercise?
yeah, and like they have to exorcise the ninja ghost out of her with a ninja exorcist because it's just ninjas all the way up.
Yeah.
Yes.
And let's see. I also wanted to bring up Zombie 3, which is kind of sort of directed by Lucio Fulci, and is technically well, I mean, it is technically a 3, even though it's a sequel to Zombie 2, which was technically marketed as a sequel to Dawn of the Dead, which was marketed as Zombie, and you got that whole thing. But
I just realized we didn't mention Day of the Dead. What the fuck?
oh shit, you're right.
What the fuck, guys?
What is wrong with us?
We're fucking up here.
Ugh.
There are just too many good part 3s.
Yeah. It's a bigger topic than we thought.
A lot to go through.
We haven't mentioned Return of the Jedi either.
Or Return of the Living Dead Part 3.
Yeah.
Or Ghostbusters, the
Answer
never
the
mind.
call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're calling it now. Answer the call, huh? The
Yeah.
all-girl one. Yeah.
Eh.
I enjoyed it, but I
Yeah.
can see why purists didn't. I thought it was better than Ghostbusters 2.
It's a whole can of worms there. Like,
Yeah.
See, here's my thing. I am a huge defender of Ghostbusters too.
Same.
Vigo will always be a very powerful Vizid,
the
okay?
Carpathian.
All right, what else we got before we get out of here? Let's rapid fire some off that we may have missed.
I didn't get the chance to talk about when you mentioned it, but thank you so much for bringing up Blair Witch 2016, because I totally forgot that it's the second sequel, and also very underrated. I will defend that movie because it scared the shit out of me.
Like I say, even if you're only going to watch the last act, it's so tense.
Oh yeah, like that last act was pure nightmare fuel.
Yes.
Alien 3, is that worth mentioning?
Alien 3.
Yeah, we got to mention that.
Yeah.
I was cool with Alien 3.
I mean,
I don't hate it. It has its moments. It's no Resurrection, which is good.
Even Resurrection, I don't mind. If you just give me a Xenomorph, I'm actually pretty cool.
And I got one, Predators, the second Predator sequel. Like, that one is so underrated, and I feel like it's making a comeback after The Predator. But, I mean, come on. It had such a great premise. It was like several of the most badass and evil, well, kind of evil human criminals and soldiers and stuff are dropped off on this alien planet by predators to be hunted as safari. And you got like Danny Trejo and Walton Goggins and Adrian Brody. It had such a great ensemble cast and some cool predators. I feel that one was very underrated, and it did a good Part 3 sequel should do, and try and kind of flip the formula on its head, because it isn't just predators on Earth hunting badasses, it's predators kidnapping badasses and dropping them off on a planet to hunt them on.
Yeah, I thought that was a really great premise and progression with the story. I just wish, as much as I loved Lawrence Fishburne in that, I wish they had gotten Schwarzenegger to come back, and after he beat the Predator, they kidnapped him and brought him to this place.
Oh, yeah, that would have been something.
Would have been awesome.
Yeah.
I know that we're forgetting because we keep coming up with ideas right now. So if we have forgotten your favorite Part 3, hey, shout it out. Let us know. You
Son
can
of
find
Frankenstein.
Son of Frankenstein.
Fuck! We forgot the Universal Classics.
No!
Which of the Abbott and Costello meets movies was the third? Was it The Mummy? I don't know.
I think it was Invisible Man, right?
Yeah. Maybe. Well, what was Invisible Man 3? Was it Invisible Agent?
I think it was either that or the Invisible Woman, because I think it was Invisible Man Returns, right? And then
there was Invisible Agent. I don't know.
Then there was Creature 3, which I think had Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, The Creature Walks Among Us.
Yeah, Creature Walks Among Us.
Oh,
all right,
man. Okay, we gotta stop this.
Yeah, this is a rabbit hole.
What did we miss, fans?
Yeah, you can find us at our Eye on Horror Facebook page. So let us know what we have missed, or if you agree or disagree. You know, I'll fight you guys about Blair Witch. Jacob will be in my corner, though.
Yep. I got you back.
Our music is by Restless Spirit, so that rock that you bang your heads to. If you like that, go check them out. Our artwork is Chris Fisher, so if you like what you see when you tap on our icon, check him out. Where can we find you guys on Twitter, Jacob?
You can find me at Jacob Davison _. That is at JACOBDAVISON _.
And Korea?
And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Korean Barbecue. That's CORREIANBBQ. And again, don't forget to check us out on Stardust. That's iHorror on the Stardust app, and our Twitter handle is also iHorror News. We also have a Facebook page that I've been promising giveaways on that, so we're gonna start doing stuff with that soon.
And you can find me, James J. Edwards, on the Twitters at Cinema Ferite. That's like verite, but with fear, so it's FEARITE. And again, you can find all three of us at the iHorror Facebook page, at the Eye on Horror Facebook page, or I don't know, anywhere else that you look for us. You know, we're not hard to track down if you want to tell us how much you hated Blair Witch or whatever.
If you feel so inclined.
So we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Until then, I'm James J. Edwards.
I'm Jacob Davison.
And I'm Jonathan Correa.
Keep your eye on horror.